just kind of hang out here. We'll pause. After COVID, you know, we were getting gun shy, so we started putting in a lot of bags. German style kind of. Neighbors all want some pickles, you know, so they go away real quick. Oh yeah. Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. I ain't had a shower or nothing yet. It's Saturday, August 8th. We're going to be canning pickles today. A bushel of pickles. I've been doing some pickling out in my garden here already, though. We got, I think I'm up to about, so we got 8, 10, 6, there's 14. I already ate a couple of them. I think we've had about, or 8 one, gave one away. 16 jars so far from my garden. But today we're going to get a bushel from the farm, and that's going to probably produce about 35 quarts of pickles. So I've just been doing some prep work, and I thought, well, I should probably fire up the old video. How's the hair look? Pretty bad? Hang on a second. I got a solution for that. And you know, what's the matter with the old hat? You know? Got the fraying up here. I'm going to work on another hat too to wear. Anyway, so some of the stuff I've been doing this morning already to kind of do some prep work and getting ready for this big batch of pickles. I've got over here, I've got distilled vinegar ready to go. I've got some distilled water. We're going to start out using distilled water for our first batches today. I've got my preliminary double batch of brine set up in here. So once again, the all-important formula that I use for creating my brine is 6 parts of water, 3 parts of vinegar, and 1 part of salt. So we get a double batch here, 12, 6, and 2 going right there. I mentioned this in one of my other videos where I was doing the quick canning thing that the USDA recommends 5-5-1. 5 parts water, 5 parts vinegar, 1 part salt. So make your own choices. Do what you think you should do. Don't necessarily do what I do. Anyway, so I got some garlic stationed out here too. We're going to be getting that all prepped up here and ready to go. So every one of our jars gets a hunk of garlic in it. So, and then the dill. I'll be getting a couple of bunches from the farm that I use for my pickles. And then I've got some in the garden if I need to supplement. All of these jars have been made with dill out of my garden. Pickles and dill out of my garden. So that's been kind of fun. I have the bath water ready to go. I made some out of my garden yesterday, these 4 here, so I just left that bath water there. I knew I'd be needing some more. Got a thermometer ready to go. We want that baby to be 180 degrees or more, right around there. Instant breakfast, just to give you guys something to go on, you know. You gotta have some of that. And salt. So the salt, again, that we use, no iodine. So you don't want table salt. Kosher salt does not have iodine, so you could use that. They actually make a canning salt. Of course, you could use that. So that's the salt that we use right there. Is we're going to use this Morton kosher salt. I've got some measuring devices here because I got to measure out, you know, stuff. So I got a big old thing for that. And then once we get going here, there'll be a regular factory going on in here. My wife will be standing here doing pickles, cleaning them, getting them ready. The sink will be full of them. There'll be pickles everywhere here. She'll have big bowls out here putting them in. So that's what's coming up. Kind of exciting. We look forward to this day every year. So we're usually either doing it on the first or the second weekend in August. This time, the first weekend, August, happened to coincide with my high school reunion. So, so we just pushed her back a week. That's not a problem. They still have them and everything is good. So I'll be going out to the farm, take you along with me. I don't know if they want me to film inside or not, but I'll take it with me and show you what it looks like anyway. So this is the Riverside Farms, it's called, up in Elk River. So we'll be heading out here probably in about, I suppose about an hour and a half or so to get those and the dill and bring that back, and here we go. But anyway, so I just wanted to get started out letting you know that I'm actually doing some prep work here early on. Just getting things, shaped up, ready to go. And always helps out. I'll show you some other stuff over here real quick too, as long as you're looking around. I kind of stage a few things over here. Let me get some light. So we got some more vinegar in the box, distilled water. We're going to make a batch of spring water too, and then some jars. I'm going to put those into the dishwasher here shortly to sterilize them. Maybe some more stuff coming up here too, some rings and lids and stuff. So I'm going to stage a bunch of stuff over here too. We got a few things coming up here. But anyway, she'll just turn into an entire pickling session around here today. Shoot, boy, we're driving. I'm ready to get the pickles. Just gonna go take a little turn here. We'll be about 4 or 5 miles away from the farm. Have the other microphone in, but here we are. Let's get some pickles. All right, everybody, I got the pickles. Can you guys hear me okay? I gotta scoot across here. We'll head back up north now and back south, I guess. I came north here. I better hang this up for a minute. I'll get run over. Talk to you in a minute. Well, thought we'd get you right in here as we're packing up some. And, there you go. See, now there's another thing right there. We've got some that are coming out. Water, the bath water. It's easy for me to say. Well, the USDA again recommends boiling. Always use USDA methods, of course. But anyway, we have to be over 180 here to kill everything. So we make sure that I get all that water at 180, and then I run it for 20 minutes. And we've never had a problem. So, plus they usually 100% of them will seal. As a rule, I'll watch, I'll probably have some that won't here, but they commonly seal up pretty good. Doing 7 at a time here. We've got 14 done, so we've been kind of at this a little bit here. Phone ran out of battery, so you didn't miss much except a bunch of work getting done here as we prepped up this stuff and Pickles got cleaned up. We got a little picture of Barbie doing that. So really, what I'm going to do now, though, I'm ready to pack up the next 7 jars to go in. So we'll pack them up. Talk about what we're doing. First off, I gotta get them loaded with the stuff that we like to put in. Garlic. You guys see all right, can't you? Let me just double check now. Looks like it. All right, we got a hunk of garlic going in every one of these. Got the scissors over here by the dill. Let's go take a look at the dill. I get a couple of bunches of it. You know what I like to do? Of course, I like to get a head into each one. Some of these heads are kind of big, so I might cut them in 2 or split them. But there'll be for 1 jar. That'll be for 1 jar, probably there. Another one. So I put a head in every one. Got a couple there. So what do we have
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get a couple more. That's kind of a big one. All right. The other thing I like to do is there's some little leaves on here. I like to get some of that in there too. So we'll try to, sometimes kind of a pain here. First off, here goes the dill. I got the garlic in there. That's a big hunk of dill, but I love to make sure that they taste the dill, you know? So we're not shy about stuffing the dill in here. Come on. I like it when it's seeds, kind of, you know, on the seed. It's still okay if it hasn't. It still tastes real dill-like. Dilly. I was going to say dilly. Is that a word? Well, you know, we're just not against coining a few words here. I got to get just a hair more there. Just a little one here. They're kind of short there. We'll just throw this one in there. This is just your basic kind of a, not feathered out really well. All right, so got that all in there and going. Now the next thing is starting to pack. This group here has been of a fairly consistent size, so kind of easily able to do a, where are you looking here? I'll set that over a little bit more, but sometimes I've been known to dump these out a little bit here and see what I got down in there. Get to the bigger ones here if I can, if there is any. Put those in the bottom row. Sometimes they're pretty even all the way. Oh, there's a big one there. Oh, shit, no, that's a real tall one there. They did a pretty good job this time, though, of getting pretty consistent sizes, so I was pretty happy with that. But you're going to see a big one here now and then. It just happens. Happens in my garden, too. It's the ones that get away from you. You know they're there, you just know they're there, and then you discover them one day and they're huge. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just trying to make a pretty even row down here, and I get kind of involved in here. So, you know, that one didn't go in the way I wanted. I gotta see if I can get this other one straightened down a little. Shoot. That did not happen the way I wanted. So I'm just going to have to go in with a smaller one in between here. So these I stuffed pretty good, because even after they're done in the bath water, they'll be floating, or there'll be room in there, and you'll think, what the heck? So apparently they shrink a little bit when you put them in that hot water. So you stuff the jar full. That's the prescription. Jam them in there. So once again, I'm just trying to do a second layer of standing them up here. If you lay it over on its side like this while you're filling them, you can kind of get them to sit still sometimes while you got a moment. You stick the next one in there if it'll fit. That may be too tall. Too tall, so I'll go out of there and get in with another one here. That'll work. So, and it gets to a point too when you get them in there where you kind of have most of them. Now you're just looking for the ones that'll fill it out. You can push them in the rest of the way. Get a little space opened up. This is not my best pack job here. Alright, so we'll call that one ready for the brine. Here we go. I'll probably cut out some of these because it's just rinse and repeat. Save the battery. I think that's what we'll do. A couple of things that I would say while we're doing this, maybe that might be helpful. We source these cucumbers with a farm near us that does this kind of stuff. You know, they raise vegetables, and we found them at a farmer's market in Minneapolis one time, because we used to source our cucumbers there too. They don't get kind of hit and miss. sometimes whoever it was we'd be getting from, they'd be pretty good, and then other times they wouldn't. They'd be kind of maybe off the vine too long, a little soft. These are really, really firm and hard, by the way. That's what we're looking for. This place that we go, Riverside Farm here in Minnesota, up in Elk River, they pick these, and as soon as they're picked, they put them right in a cooler. So they are chilled down right away, which is perfect. That'll make them harden up real nice. And then when we go to can them, you throw that brine in on top of them, and boy, they really stiffen up, and boy, those pickles are crispy. A year later, they're crispy. Come on, get in there now. As a matter of fact, might be fun. Maybe I have no life, but I'll just drag the jar out I'm currently eating from last year. It's a year old. And let's see what kind of crunch they have. One-year-old pickles. See what they sound like when a guy gets a big bite on one here. Oh, they're delicious. There you are. You know what? That one looks as good as any. I can already tell it's going to be nice and crispy. But let's get a listen. Ooh. Oh, yeah. That'll cure whatever ails you. Whoa. I hope you heard that crunch. It's still crunching. Wow. Anyway. Just wanted you to hear that. That's what shut my mouth is like lit up. Ooh. Those are some dandies. So, there you have it. Hang on, I got room for a little pickle here. I just can't seem to find the right one. Sometimes you're really doing some size in here. There it is. That'll work. Alright. I got a high pickle here, and I got a cucumber, or not cucumber, garlic underneath it, so it's sticking up even more. But see, I got this little shorty. That little shorty is going to go right in there just nice. So I'm constantly kind of keeping an eye out for the variations that I know are going to work out just right somewhere. Very pleased with the pickles. Of course, the difference between canning pickles and slicing cucumbers is really kind of the thickness of their skin, and then how big they get too. These are not meant to, canning ones are not really meant to get big like slicing ones. They will get kind of big, but they're not really meant for that. And then the other thing is that these canning ones have a thicker, harder skin on them compared to the slicing ones. So consequently, they will do better when you can them like this. So that's the difference. If you're going to make pickles, you buy canning pickles, not slicing pickles. You know, I think you could can them, but I don't know how they would be. I don't really know. Probably somebody's got experience trying that. Not me. I can see I'm going to have a jar coming up, but I'm just going to load it up with these. There's a few of them in there. Sometimes I like to do that if I get an unusual size where I see a lot of them. I'll just throw a whole bunch of them in one jar. And we'll have a funky looking jar of pickles, which is kind of fun too. Okay, let's see. Probably give you guys a break from all of this then for a little while here. Come back at you when I got all 7 jars ready, and we'll get them into the hot water bath over here. So why don't we do that? We'll take a break for a minute. We're mixing up some brine here now. We ran out. We got some more jars packed. Ooh, boy. So what do we got here? 6. Yeah, you can't see the thing on the side in. Sometime they should make one of these with the numbers. You know, they come first, when you first get it, they come with black so you can see them. But then they wear off. Then you can't see them. Not as easy. Oh well. No troubles we have. We'll make another double batch. This is spring water. So we got 12 cups on spring water. Six cups of vinegar. Bushes. Two cups of salt. And again, we double batched. 631, 1262. Sometimes people think these are pretty salty. All right, can you guys see? So if you think that's going to happen, maybe back off on some of the salt, but that's how they used to do her. You know? All right. Bring that back up to a ball. A ball. You guys get it? Oh, you got a lot of it. All right, let's get you back over here. Back where the action's happening here. You can see we've got 14 jars out. Now they turn into pickles once they're out of the cooker. So what we could do here, though, while we're waiting, we need to put a little hot water into here. This is a good thing to talk about. First off, 180 on this. Let's double check our temp. See where we're at. Just a little over. We're good. So now I need some lids. And here they are. I need, well, I got 3 ready to go here. Well, heck, I'll put a, heck, easy. We'll put 4 of them in there. What the heck? The heck again? I was going to tell you that I opened up 2 new boxes. Can you guys see me? Not that it matters. Maybe we'll just go up like this a little bit, but I opened up 2 new boxes of jars, 12 jars each, and they have inside the ring and lid on each. And screwed down pretty hard. And we take that off and you look at that lid, and underneath there's the rubber stuff under there, and it's really pushed, squished down. If ever I'm going to have trouble with something not sealing, it's going to be those. I usually set them aside, and I got them up there, a stack of 24 of them. I probably won't use them until next year. Get that rubber to relax. If you got to use them right away, make sure you put them in some real hot water for a little while. Now, I do that anyway. Now, they like to tell you these days you don't need to do that anymore. Psst. It makes that rubber better. It grabs on better, you know, seals better. Why not? Who cares? Put it on. You know? So anyway, we always want to clean the tops off. I want to get nice smooth. I saw there was a little bit of dried salt and vinegar there. So you just want to have that really smooth. And then get these lids on. We'll talk about this a little here now too, because I'm going to put rings on next. Oh, there goes the jar. Did you hear that click? And another one seal. So now when we do the rings, you guys see? Probably not. Maybe you could. Not at all. Alright, well, I'll flip over here a little bit. But anyway, I'm just putting some rings on these jars here. You should finger tighten. That's it. Did you see that? Do it again. Get this one to start. There we go. Finger tighten. Finger tighten. I use rings over again until they get too rusty. Then I recycle them. So there's 3 that are ready. I get these other 4. We're going to get this brine warmed up here so we can get the brine in there and get the lids on there. I got to open up some more lids, by the way. I'm using up some of the back stock. After COVID, you know, we were getting gun shy, so we started putting in a lot of back stock once we started finding stuff again. So still kind of going through some of that. You know, we've been canning every year, and that particular year it got really difficult to get the supplies that we were looking for every year, and we did finally come up with what we needed to get everything, but it wasn't easy. So from that point forward, we've kind of kept a little bit on hand, you know. Let's see, in that first round, there's 7 of them, and I can see that 4 of them, have, you know, 3 of them are down. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you just wrap on the old counter here. Another one will go down. Anyway, they're going. I can tell they're all going to go. They've got that little tight bubble on the top. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. We got to get this brine to boil over here. And here's where we're at. Not quite there yet. Got to get a rolling boil on there. Bath water, we should be good. The temperature was good, so we're ready to put them in. Here's the best scoop I found. You know, these are those, what is this? Who makes this? It's made in the USA. By Chinese. No, it's good plastic microwave stuff, but it works great for this, for scooping in, because this does not drip. That lip is, you can pour and it won't run. So yeah, look for one of those. Oh yeah. Whew. Sorry about that. Sheesh. All right, let's get these jars filled up and get them back in there. She's looking good. All right. Bring on the lids. Bring on the rings. We got 4 of them right here. Finger tight. Finger tight. Rinse and repeat. Oh yeah, that's hot. They are hot. Of course, the water in the canner needs to get up over top of jars. And I think technically it's supposed to like get over by a bit, you know, a couple inches or something, which is usually what I kind of do. And it always works. 7 more in. Start the timer. Another jar just went. All right. Good. We're set. Look at the bubbles coming out of there already. Coming out of the jars. Probably both out of the jars and out of the rings that had a little bit of air underneath them when they went in. But this is what you want to see. Those little bubbles coming out. Tiny bubbles. I think that's a song somewhere. I don't know. All right, so here's what we got going then so far. 14 of them. And that's what we got left to pack. So right now, we got 19 minutes left. Let's see if we can pack 7 more jars in 19 minutes. That's the goal. Garlic's in. Scissors over here. Of course not. There it is. All right. You guys watch that for a minute, will you? There's one. Oh yeah. I was very satisfied with the dill too here. That's what I'm doing, kind of picking through here, looking for the tops and cutting them off. I may have to put some more into that one, more than this one. Short one. Okay, so I'll be on time. We got 16 minutes. Let's start packing. You know, set you back here a little, so well, I guess you can see everything pretty good. See how we do. All right, that's 7. But now, you know, to get them really ready for the big transfer, we're going to have to put some brine on them here, and I'm going to just warm that up real quick again. That's it. Let's get those out of there. And we are out. Now let me double check. Oh, one thing. It's good to get this water off of here. Otherwise the water spouts the jar, the can. Can't have that out. This thing's gotten kind of wet. Need a new one. All right, this is about ready to boil, I think. The brine. And we'll get these jars in there. Whew. Oh yeah, she's hot. I hope I got enough for the 7 jars. We didn't have any to spare, really. All right, is there enough here? I think there is. Oh, mercy sakes, are you kidding? Even a little more to top a couple off. Right on the nose. Well, I'd like to take credit for that. So I will. Well, all right, I guess I can. It just worked out. Well, we easily got 35. Somehow or another, I thought we were still waiting on that other batch for that. So no, we got easy 35. This may go 37 or 8. Double checking just a finger tight. Yeah, that's loose. Pretty good. By the way, after these cool down, you'll notice that some of those rings are even going to be loose. But the lids will be sealed. All right. Let's get that timer going. Well, we are back. It's actually the next day. Life happens, you know. I said, wife, Barbie, leave all the jars out so we can just summarize and get it all fixed up. It took about 4 hours, you know. I actually still have, I didn't have enough jars up here, so about that many cukes left. And this would be probably 3-4 jars in here, something like that. So I thought I'd wait until I do my next garden one and I'll include those then. But we have 35 jars here, 35 quarts. And again, I bought a bushel. And that bushel was $110. And in essence then, because there's about 3 more in there, yeah, let's say 3 for sure. And then, so 38 quarts is what you end up with. I did use in all of these, mostly distilled water. I did mix in some spring water here. I was going to do a batch of spring water and got it kind of confused, and then I was back to distilled. So mostly distilled water with a little bit of spring. But what's different than about this water is that there's no city water in here. So the dissolved solids on this water is much, much lower, and it's supposed to be much better for the pickles. Sometimes when you're canning, you'll see that they wrinkle. They look like they're, you know, got some bad skin. Well, that's sometimes is a sign of very hard water. The other thing that can make them do that, we've known, is if you cook them too hot for too long, it starts to cook them. That's why we just do something over 180, because then it doesn't cook them as much. And they still stay crispier that way. So the other thing too that'll make them squishy and, you know, look goofy on the outside is if they are too old off of the vine. You know, if they've been off for too long and have not been chilled, then they can start to get kind of rubbery and stuff. And that's one of the things I used to check when we used to source them down at the farmer's market. I would take and see how rubbery they were. More rubbery, could be a new word. If they were, then didn't want them. Look for another one. Once I got onto this place, though, that I go to now, I discovered them at the farmer's market, as a matter of fact. So, but now I'm really happy with the cucumbers that I get from there every year. Pickling cucumbers, it is, and here you are. Once again, we've got, well, there'll be, let's see, so I have 16 jars of the other, although I've eaten one already and given one away, so I have 14 jars over there on top of these 35. Got some more in there, and then my garden is just, I'm sure there's going to be, you know, maybe another 20 jars out of there. So we'll have a bumper crop this year, and it'll be good. We give a lot away. Anybody that comes here and does service work gets a job. I have relatives that all want one, neighbors all want some pickles, you know, so they go away. We have quite a following on the old pickle thing. And they do disappear. I eat probably a jar every month. You know, I have them for dinner and for lunch. Usually one pickle in each. Maybe sometimes a little bit more. And then maybe there's a day I don't, but mostly I usually do. So in doing that, you know, a jar will last for, a couple of weeks probably. Well, maybe I open up more than one a month, but maybe a couple a month. Somewhere in there. Anyway, so that's it. That's how you do a bushel of pickles in about 4 hours, and then crash afterwards and have to finish the thing the next day. Yeah, but that's it. You know, we had pretty good luck. All of the jars sealed up. You know, everybody was bing, 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 binging all afternoon. You know, so they're all sealed, and they will be good. The rings, by the way, are now just You know, I leave the rings on there because the people that get the jars maybe don't always have one of these handy dandy caps of the right size, but which we do have, but not in there right now. So anyway, they're going to need the ring to reseal it after they open it, so we do leave it on there. But they're sealed without the ring. As a matter of fact, these rings I always have to check. There's a loose one there. Come out of the water loose. I put them in finger tight, and then they come out of the water, they're loose, but the jar is sealed. So I like that. Everything's working good. Anyway, I'll let you go at that point. We'll see you on the next video. And I believe the next one, we have to do a garden update. Been very delinquent on that, so we'll do that probably maybe yet today. We'll see how much time we have. That's it for now. See you on the next one.